He totally had to get some more space.
He wanted to make us all feel bad by having an even bigger house, so he just took a picture of his old house.
It's very humble of you, Subash.
So, threat management staff meeting for today. Well, that's a lot of accomplishments since last meeting. About
almost 2 whole alphabets full.
Wow.
And it's actually we didn't have the meeting 2 weeks ago, so this is 4 weeks of closed.
Notice that there are at least 2 community contributions, which is neat as well.
I usually try and keep the label on, and this time I wasn't sure if I missed some, so I just took them off entirely. I figured better be vague than wrong. I think the next agenda item is me. Excited. That's not the one I was excited to share. This one as well is good though. We've got a lot of hiring going on. I hope everyone's aware of that. So there was one position that was opening up for a backend engineer within Secure I wanted to share. I know there's a couple of other positions open in front end right now. We're interviewing for engineering managers. So if you've got people in your network who you think would be great for GitLab, we still do the referral program to submit people for jobs. And I encourage you to take a look at what's available and encourage your friends to come to GitLab. But number 4 was what I was really excited to share. I'm so thrilled to tell y'all that Alexander has been promoted to a senior engineer. So we're very excited. Congratulations, Alexander. I think you've been performing at that senior engineer level since day 1. So I'm glad that we have made it official.
Thank you. I'm very excited and woo.
No acceptance speech?
That was it.
You love putting me on the hot seats. I figured I'd get a chance to do it to you as well.
Yeah, I've been so honored to work with all of you for this past year, and I look forward to continuing to do great things with all of you.
It's well deserved, Alexander. Great stuff. And thanks, Lindsay, for advocating to make it happen. It's good stuff. So last item on the agenda, as Lindsay mentioned about roles for the fuzz testing group, is I'm recruiting for a senior full stack engineer for a greenfield, a net new development machine learning initiative. I got the link there, and I've been experimenting with various ways to contact people. So this is a different kind of role than we normally recruit for at GitLab. So it's a SEG or SEG, single engineer group, which is somebody who doesn't want to or need to collaborate with a bigger team. They kind of work on things all by themselves, and they know just enough of product management, just enough UX, etc. And they work on experimental things that will often start and then sometimes stop. So it's kind of work on big bets. It's going to be reporting to me, at least currently that's the plan. There's a singular SEG reporting to one of my peers to work on application performance management. This is actually to work on machine learning ops or ML ops, which is kind of neat. I just started recruiting for this a week ago. So if you know anyone that's interested or might be interested, let me know. And if you have any feedback on the job listings, it's very different than what we normally list. I'd love to hear it.
I have a question regarding the referral system. Can we refer friends of friends?
Yes.
Okay.
I would just say that's actually a great way to do things. Just say, I don't actually know this person, but I know someone who knows them. I would just say that. So definitely do the referral. It means less to the hiring manager that you don't know them directly, but it doesn't mean nothing either than if it was a direct referral. So absolutely refer friends of friends.
That's a great question, Sebastian. I've always wondered, and I've actually kind of hesitated in the past if I didn't work with the person directly.
I had 2 examples, and one is recently there was a full stack engineer looking for a GitLab job, but it was a friend of a friend. So I told them that it's, but I can reach them out and then tell them that there is this position open so that they can check. It's good to know. Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah, good stuff. Great question. I wonder if we wherever the referral process is documented in the handbook, I wonder if we should make that clear. Want to volunteer to look into that, Savash, or not interested? Not interested is fine.
No, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that.
And while we're talking about positions that open, I also wanted to make sure everyone was aware of the fact that we're hiring for another backend engineer within Protect. So this will be somebody on the container security group under the category, I'm not sure what it's called, that will be focused just on security approvals. So this is another single engineer team group, like Wayne was explaining before.
Good stuff.
I'll put this on the agenda. I was just ad hoc thinking about this. I scheduled 2 game times for next week. So take a look at the threat management shared calendar. There's a morning or a PST morning and PST afternoon to try and accommodate for time zones. We can do Dropsaurus or puzzling or whatever everyone likes. So I miss y'all since our last team day.
Yeah, it's been a while. It feels like.
I thank Alexander for this because he was the one that was calling out that none of us have given the puzzle any love yesterday.
It's still in its infancy of completion for sure.
And Daniel picked a really cool picture, so.
Did anyone happen to look into, of course I have to paste the actual link, this outage that happened yesterday? If not, that's totally fine. It didn't directly involve any of our teams. Well, we've got a little, I know I just added to it, but it just came my attention. Since I'm covering this week for my manager, Christopher, my job includes now also summarizing outages and what we're doing about it, etc. Anybody happen to take a look at this? Quick raise of hands. Get involved with it? No.
I just experienced it. It was this morning.
Yeah, this morning, Europe time.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this a confidential issue? Let me see here. It is not confidential. Okay, so we can still post the recording. So take a look. So as I read this, I would love actually the team's input on it as I need to update my boss's boss on it periodically. So it looks like large number of expensive database queries running on the primary caused high load across the cluster. It started saturating the connections to the database, which caused a slowdown across the platform. At a certain point, no requests were served. We did emergency maintenance to mitigate the load increase. Once the database was capable of serving the queued requests, the problem recovered. And we don't know, at least at the time this was written, the cause of the initial slowdown. And it looks like then later, the root cause was due to wrong statistics in the namespaces table. There was an auto vacuum on the namespaces table just before the incident started. That an auto analyze was not run. It was last run 2 days ago. We ran an explain analyze on it, and now it went from 20 to 150 milliseconds when it was, what is that, 200 seconds, 198,000 milliseconds before the analyze. So that looks like the cause. What are folks' thoughts on this? Knowing that, oh, it's in the document, Alexander, the link, unless I pasted it wrong, which I may have done. Yeah, it's number 8 in the doc, which I just put in as we were as Lindsay was talking about the previous item. As I look at this, and I've got a little bit of head start with last discussion I was in right before this one, we were discussing this, is it looks like just the statistics on the table or on the indexes got out of date and caused the queries to take a really long time to run, and that's something we should have caught, or not we should have. We can do a better job of catching in the future when that occurs. Does that resonate with this group? Does that seem like a reasonable, I know it's just looking at this incident, but does that seem like a reasonable way to approach this incident and avoiding future recurrences?
I have a feedback regarding the incident. So if only the statistics table, because I haven't checked the issue yet, but this morning the GitLab was unreachable. So I was not able to fetch the repository. I was not able to check my issues page. So I think I'm not sure how the backend or how the system is configured, but a problem in the statistics table caused a major outbreak, outage, not outbreak. So this could be investigated because to me, for instance, fetching from the repository should be unrelated to the static table, or maybe static table should be. I'm not sure how it's built, but it should be like asynchronous, probably. So if
it might have been checking the namespaces table to check permissions, for example. Maybe that was going on behind the scenes, but yeah, it definitely is separating out. So if there's a problem in one place, it doesn't affect as many places.
Yes.
Is key. One thing it's so it's good. Good. I like the way you're thinking about it. One thing that's been discussed is partitioning the Postgres database, and I believe it's by customer. So each customer has its own instance. What that would make is if one customer has an issue, it won't affect all. If one customer is creating enough of a problem that it would affect all customers, in this mode, it would only affect them. So it limits the number of customers that would be impacted. That doesn't make the customer that is impacted any happier, right? But it limits the number of impacted in things like this, perhaps in the future. It does create more maintenance work. Like how do you make, like, let's say this analyze didn't run on one customer. Would we know? Would the customer have to report it to us, or would we have automated monitoring for it? But it might have limited it to just certain customers. So there's been discussion of doing that sharding by customer of the database, not sharding by functionality, which you're describing, Subhash, which would also be an interesting way to go about this.
What is the, all right, do we have data on the queries that were taking a long time? It says on the namespace table, what is the namespace table used for? Like you said, is it permissions? Is it just people logging in?
I was guessing on permissions. I don't actually know. I see it often though, so I think it's a pre-key table used in many places. But it was the namespace, as I read this, the namespace, the problems with the namespace table were causing queries for the namespace table to take a long time or timeout, which were causing other queries to get queued up by the database, which was then caused a problem with accessing any table, because it caused an overall database issue. It wasn't specifically just localized. The namespace table challenge was part of the cause of the initial cause of the, well, I don't know initial, but was caused a problem with the database reliability overall for any table.
Got it. Okay.
Anyway, if you have thoughts on this, please do comment on the issue if you have the time and interest. I have not read it in detail yet. I just read the summary half an hour ago, but would love to see other people's thoughts on it now or in the future. So yeah, so if we had the option to shard the database, so split it by customer, there are pros and cons of that. A pro is, you mentioned you localize issues to specific customers. If there's an issue with one customer that might affect all, would not affect all, it'll affect one. A negative is the code needs to know about the different shards. You connecting to this instance of the database or that instance of the database, unless you put some kind of middle layer that extrapolates that out. And if you want to query across databases, join across databases, that can be a real challenge as well, which we don't do that much joining across, but we do some.
A more expensive change we could do is to analyze the namespace table to see if it can be broken up into other tables. Maybe the namespace table is a product of legacy and we've thrown too much in there. And now it's become a too heavily relied on table. So we could look at break it up, but that would be a lot of work.
Well,
not the easiest change.
Are we archiving data from all tables? Or we deleting data after the retention period? Because that not just the namespace table, but all the tables. But yeah, that's a good point. Is should we look at the high load tables to see if they're optimized for current and future performance? Maybe some of them are not, and that would help.
Yeah, you mentioned indexing. I'm surprised there wasn't some sort of alert about that.
Yeah, I haven't read through the details. It might have been there was an alert and it was not. We don't have a way to escalate that, or it's not escalated to people, or yeah, I don't know the details. Always with things like this, it's a failure in process, not a failure in people, right? It's some process in the spirit of a blameless root cause analysis, some process or set of processes that computers and people depend on failed us. And we can improve that process. It's not that the people made a mistake. We need to make it easier for the people to succeed and for the systems to succeed as well without needing to rely on people. And again, I don't know the details underneath this or any of the history on it. That's what I've done at past companies is looked at it from that perspective. So great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for humoring me on bringing this up last minute.
Cool.
Hey, Sebastian, jumping back to what you said on the referral, you found the page. A referral is not someone, it's someone you do, a referral is not someone you do not know and would not be able to speak about confidently. I still think we'd like it from a sourcing perspective. So I think that's still okay to say, you know, as long as you explicitly say, I don't know this person, but somebody I know and trust does know them. So it would be less confidently. So, but we definitely have a more outgoing recruiting process than incoming. Is we look to find people that might be a good fit for GitLab versus listing lots of jobs in lots of places. So I still think, I think it's worth validating this in the handbook. To say
Okay.
like that.
So maybe I should create an MR, which,
yeah.
So, okay, awesome.
That'd be great. Thank you, Sebastian. And again, it was a great question you asked, because, you know, one person asks, it probably means 50 people have thought about it before. So it's great to get the handbook updated too. Not that you or I or Lindsay are amongst the DRIs for accepting that change, but I'm sure we'd be happy to look it over. We'll send it to the DRI, which is probably somebody on the recruiting team, to review it and decide if they're going to merge it or not.
Cool.
All right, we're done.
Do we have anything else?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
Thanks,
No, I was asking the same thing.
Excellent. Oh, I guess we have we have a new person whose name we're not going to say because we don't know if they've given notice their current employer starting. They accepted a while ago, but they couldn't start until it's either mid-March or mid-April on Tiago's team. If somebody knows better than me, that'd be great. But yeah, somebody who accepted back in January is starting in the next month, which is neat.
That person will be focused on the threat insights team, Wayne, is that right?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think that's right.
But I'm not 100%.
I think it's container security, right? That's the last time I heard about. No?
I was thinking that as well. That's the person
Okay.
that has experience with, it's a past contributor, I think, and he has experience with Kubernetes.
Yep. Oh, thanks, Amir and Sebastian. And yeah, this person is also a former or current community contributor, which is kind of neat, and happens to be based in India, if I remember correctly. So even more time zones. Yay, more diverse team. So awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.